Welcome to Mad Life, living your life in excellence and reaching your full potential. Hi, this is Dave and Mary Showman, and we are Mad Life. This is episode 2, and we will be discussing Mary's furlough files. So, Mary, tell me what's the meaning behind the furlough files and what motivated you to do this?
Well, I like to make video blogs, otherwise known as vlogs, just to put messages out there with what's going on in my life, because I don't know where I heard this or read it, but basically, as a leader, you should kind of like find the landmines for people so they don't go through the landmines themselves. So basically, I'm looking for people to learn from my experience so maybe they can avoid some of their own landmines in the future. So that's why I put out the videos.
So, that's great, but what about some context? I mean, what have you put out already?
Well, so I was furloughed from my job at the end of April, and I created furlough files so people could tune in and listen to what I was going through. Some context would be, for example, today I did one about labels, about how we label ourselves and label other people, and challenging people just to rip off their labels and be themselves. Because that's when you wear a label and you go out with this label on, it's almost like a barrier to experience something new. Because if you go out and say, oh, I'm introverted, so I have to keep, so you keep yourself small. Well, hats off to all you introverts, because I'm not one, obviously. But if you go out with that introvert lens on, you might miss something. And so, about the label, so I was just encouraging people to take off all their labels. And I don't remember what my other furlough files were on.
I don't know.
I don't know without going back and watching them. I think one was probably on feeling your emotions and not numbing out, because during this time of COVID and now all the protests and the riots going on, it's really easy to get overloaded. And when people get overloaded with information, they might want to numb themselves. And so by being able to stay present with what's going on inside of them, that helps them to not numb.
So, is numbing important, or you just don't want them to numb, or you just want them to feel?
Well, I think that everybody numbs to a certain level. For example, we know that you love your video games.
Sure.
And when the world gets to be too much, you play your video games. So I know when you're playing a video game, whether it's on your PS4, X, whatever, or your phone, I know that you're doing it because you're processing something. You know that I process when I'm by myself. So you know that when I say, hey, I need some space, it's because I'm processing something.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
And so I think that everybody numbs to some extent. It's when the numbing becomes to where you're no longer experiencing life, that you're keeping yourself shut in, or you're kind of just going through life. I don't want to really say with blinders on, but kind of like the status quo.
Right.
Going through the motions, hamster wheel, because you're just numb to the suck of it, or you're just numb, like you don't, like almost like waking up would be scary for you, because then now you took the red pill, like from the Matrix.
Sure. Is it? I don't know. I think some people think numb is bliss. They just like it there. And because they don't want to be responsible for anything? Or is this your way of having them become responsible by developing their different lens.
Well, until you take responsibility for your life, it's I don't want to say it's not worth living, but it's like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. This morning you and I had that conversation about how I still play small in some circumstances with some people.
Yeah.
And at first I was upset, but then once I was able to get quiet and do my exercise and take a shower, I was like, oh man, Dave's right. And so by me taking responsibility for, okay, you know what, he was right in that, and I do still play small with some people, gives me the opportunity to do something different.
Okay.
Next time.
So why do people stay small? I mean, I know why I stay small sometimes. Why do you think people stay small?
They're afraid of being judged, and they're afraid of being ridiculed, and they're afraid of people not liking them, because we all want to be liked. It's human nature.
Right.
We all want to be heard.
Right.
We all want to feel important. And so if you put yourself out there, kind of like we're doing, if, it's taking a risk.
Right.
So without owning your stuff and without taking that risk and taking responsibility, then, I don't know, it doesn't sound very fun to me.
I stay small because it's safe. Because I know that role, and I don't think I put myself in that situation. That's the expectation from certain people. Like an example, my mom or my dad, they raised me, so they have this expectation of me to keep me small. And so even their dialogue and talking and how they treat you or treat me is small. They can't see the bigger picture of me. And so in this circumstance with me, it's easier for me to be small than to shove my expectation in their face, because I don't think they know how to handle that.
So,
do you think that's what went on with you in the circumstances that you were going through?
I think so, and I think that because I want the relationship to be different than it is and than it probably ever will be, that I have some unmet expectation there. And so I'm playing small in hopes that, maybe they'll notice. Maybe they'll notice that I want them to notice me. Maybe they'll notice that I want to be different.
I see.
Or that I want to have things different.
Do you think it's like going against your A personality?
Yes.
That must be hard to be that, I can't be myself around these people.
Yes, that's what I actually talked about in my furlough file tonight was I am, and I think my A personality comes from needing to be noticed.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
From, look at me, I'm the best executive administrative assistant that was ever born.
Right.
Look at me, I'm funny, look at me, look at me, look at me. And while there's nothing wrong with attention, and there's nothing wrong with that, it's why are you seeking attention?
Right. What's your motivation behind it?
Right. Am I doing it because I'm not feeling worthy, and so I need the attention of someone else because I don't know how to give that to myself? That's when you're, from what I've learned and from what I've read, that is a self-esteem issue. Look at me be great. Look at, when you just are yourself, like we were playing around tonight with the lighting.
Right.
And I was being kind of goofy with this little 30-second video that I sent to my girlfriends because I thought it was really fun and cute.
Right.
And, and they said, that's really fun and I can't wait for whatever. But I was just being myself.
Right.
And so, sorry.
No, go on.
So, I think what we're getting to the long way around is when you wear these labels, when you don't take a responsibility, when you numb, you lose who you are.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to figure out who you are without somebody telling you who you are. And it takes a lot of effort to go, okay, what am I? Am I what that person says that I am? Like, am I, like an example label would be, you're stupid. Am I buying into their label that I'm stupid? Or am I buying into the label that I'm great? Because the dialogue in my head is that I'm great, but this person over there is calling me stupid. So those two can't exist in the same world.
I'm going to disagree with that.
That's okay. That's why we're doing this.
So they can exist in the same world, and this is why, or this is what I've been trained in, and what I was taught is that we are everything.
Okay.
We are stupid and we are smart. If you were sitting next to Einstein,
Sure.
you know, might not be as bright as Einstein. So you might be, maybe you are.
Sure.
Okay, maybe you are.
I understand.
But what I'm saying is, okay, but sitting next to someone who has all the schooling that you have and all the life experience, you're going to appear smarter than someone who doesn't have the experience and the knowledge and the education that you have.
True.
So there's...
Well, maybe we needed to define what stupid is. Maybe.
Right, and why do you make stupid a bad thing?
Right.
It's just a word.
Right. I think stupid means to me, because I was told all my life that I was stupid, even though I'm scored high on the IQ test, but my mother felt to call me stupid was her way of coping with my, I want to say my madness. You know, me being mad, me being excited, me being, you know, inquisitive about all things. I could say as a child that would be overwhelming for a parent who doesn't know what to do. And she was a single mom, and she didn't have a buffer. You know, so maybe that was her way of saying, I need to be left alone. You're driving me nuts. I don't know. But that long-term effect is still there. And so when I went to my master's degree, I had to prove to myself that I was smart. Even though I know I was smart, but I had to prove that I was smart so that I can confirm it in my head that I'm smart, which is ridiculous, right? In the law, you know, after the fact. So I strived really hard, you know, to get the A average, you know, the GPA. So I walked away with a 4.0, and then I say people with C and B averages who are just as smart as I am and probably smarter. But I'm thinking back like, man, what a dumb test to put myself through, because it should be good enough for me to say I'm smart. I don't need to be recognized or have an accolade or have an ego so big that, yeah, I got a 4.0. Who cares? Because I know grades are meaningless.
And did the 4.0 change your mom's actions towards you?
No, she still calls me stupid, so go figure. She still treats me as a child, you know, and I'm in my 50s and I'm still being taught, you know, I'm a child.
Right.
No matter what I do, you know, it's that type of a situation. And I've rationalized it to the point to where I know that's never going to get resolved. It's just her story. That's what she believes. That's what she thinks. And there's nothing I can do to change her mind.
So if you have all these labels,
yeah,
that are given to you by other people, because of whatever whatever they think that their labels are, how do you choose to live life on fire and live a life of excellence when all of these labels have been thrown onto you?
Well, because you got to dismiss those. Everybody's going to say you can't be successful at anything. I mean, when we were starting this podcast, people are saying, yeah, what? You're going to do what? Yeah, that's not going to go anywhere. Even our own daughter says, I don't even think you guys are going to get a following because we're not relevant. Whatever the hell that means. But that's a label, relevant.
Right.
So I choose to be my own relevancy. It's not a societal thing. It's my relevance. It's how I look at myself and my perception. You know, I've met people that are so sure of themselves, they walk into a room and they demand a presence. One of those people that I know is Chris Brady.
Oh.
That man could walk in a room and you know that's the guy in charge, and he doesn't even have to say a word because he's so confident in who he is and his belief system, and you know, and he knows God, and he knows he's very well read. He doesn't have to have a pretense. He can take off his coat and sit down and talk to you about any subject. He's very well versed, but you know because of how he knows about himself. He's gone through that journey. So, yes, Mary, I can see you look on your face like, I got some good nuggets to give. So,
No, I was just thinking about this. Chris Brady, everybody should check this man out.
Yeah.
He and Orrin Woodward and all of our amazing life coaches. They're much more than life coaches, but that's what their labels are in life leadership. Chris Swanson is another one who has the most amazing commanding presence I've experienced. You can, to be affected by someone's energy that positively as soon as he walks in the room, I've never experienced it like that.
And so for our listeners to know, you need to Google Chris Swanson. He's the cop that stood up and took the batons down and took his armor off. We know him personally. We've met him. We've hung out with him. Just by hanging out with him, he's another Chris Brady. He's another person that he doesn't suck your energy out. He gives his energy to you, and you feel like, I'm alive again. I believe in me, because that's his mission. I don't see sheriff. I don't see cop. I don't see physical fitness expert. I don't see public speaker. I see the individual that knows exactly who he is, and he is mad and he is fired up about life, and he truly wants to help people. That's where we want people to get to be so crazy about their life, like a Chris Swanson, like an Orrin Woodward and a Chris Brady. Those people are, if you don't know who they are, check them out. Go get a book. The publishers, they've written many books. There's lectures that they talk about all the time. But check them out. But Chris Swanson, his energy is contagious. He makes you feel like you can do whatever you can to the positive in your life. He has that ability to reach down in your soul and wake it up and shake it and gives you light.
So he does.
Yeah, I remember Mary, she was going for a photo op and she was just so scared. She's like, oh God, it's Chris Swanson, kind of like that. And I said, Mary, he's just a person. But he gave her a hug and she walked away, and she was like on a cloud 10 for months and years. I mean, how long ago was that? And you're still there?
It was last October.
Last October.
It was, I have never felt that type of energy come from a human being. It was a download from heaven. It really, it was, anyway, so we were talking about labels. Yeah. I had something to add.
Don't be dismissive of that.
Oh no, it was amazing. I felt alive, and I felt like I could accomplish anything. Yeah. And the world was my oyster and all of that. So I guess what came up for me while we're talking about this, we were talking about the systemic problems that we have in our country right now, and Chris Swanson he made history. He was on every news channel. The protesters, he asked, what do you need from me? And they shouted, walk with us, and off he went. Yeah. And it was amazing. And so I guess...
wouldn't that be nice if somebody asked you, what do you need from me? And they're able to give it to you. We were talking about that, about equality and equity. Mm-hmm. So equality is making everybody equal. Equality or equity is giving the person the needs that they need to become successful. Right. Okay? So could you imagine, here you are in this situation, and this person goes, I'm here to help you. What do you need? And you say, this is what I need, and they're able to give it to you. That's Chris Swanson.
So I agree. And so I guess my question is how do
we emulate that?
Right. How do we emulate? How do other people emulate that? How do people go, oh, I don't have any money to donate, or I don't have, time. I don't want to protest because I'm immunocompromised and I can't right now because, of COVID that's still out there. What do you think people can do?
Well, Mary and I decided to do a podcast, that's how we're contributing with the issues, because I am immune compromised. I can't just go hang out with groups of people because of my high blood pressure and a bunch of other stuff that's going on with me as a veteran. So for me to hang out with a bunch of people could be detrimental to me. And so the podcast is sending out a message that we're trying to make some changes. We're trying to say, hey, how can you be excellent in your life? How can you live a life of excellence? Not a life of doom and gloom and there's no hope. Like I said, I go back to it's not equality, it's equity. What can we do to help people to achieve their purpose? How can we live a life that can say, you know what? The Showmans are here to help me. We had a housekeeper. I know it sounds like, oh, we have a lot of money, but I have a housekeeper because I can't do the work anymore. I can't clean my bathroom. It's really difficult for me to do. So my housekeeper comes in. And so COVID hits and she doesn't have any work and she can't file for unemployment because she's her own business person. And she only got I want to say, what was it, $1,000 from what, and that was it. And she was supposed to live off of that with her and her son, who's a single mom, for the last, 3 or 4 months. So Mary and I made a decision because it was budgeted. We're just going to go ahead and pay her the money that she would have gotten to clean the house. So they finally opened up with the restrictions here where we live. And so she came and she cleaned her house and she was so embarrassed and so, because she felt that she wants to work for her money. She wants to work for what someone gives her. It was hard for her to say just thank you. It was a struggle for her because that's her work ethic. That's what she chose to do. And so I know giving her X dollars a month didn't help her to become rich. But for that moment in time, it was like, okay, good. I got some money so that I can feed my kids. So I could feed my family, so I can pay some rent, pay some bills, pay some whatever it is. At that time, that was what we could contribute to and help her with her equality. I'm not trying to make her equal. I'm trying to make her have equality so that she can become a better person. That's our goal. It was really hard for her to, I've never seen humility like that in a long time. And she was just in tears because I don't think anybody has ever given her anything like that generosity. So those are some of the things that we can do. Yes,
so,
ma'am.
Well, sorry, we just got a text that we need to handle. But
okay.
What I was going to say is when Sylvia asked me about it, I explained to her that's our tithing, and she kind of looked at me confused. And I said, tithing is when you give money to the church, to help the church out, but this is our way of giving back, and that goes kind of back to, I'm gonna give Elevation Church another plug because I love that church.
Good.
Can't wait to go visit it someday in North Carolina. But one of the things I love about it is every Sunday they show where their volunteers are going, where there's money going. And my favorite line that the pastor says is, "Here comes the church."
Right.
Church isn't a building.
That's right.
Church is about people helping each other in times of need. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then, she was like, well, I'll come clean for free if if your money's tight. I was like, no, I won't have you come do this for free.
Right.
That was a gift.
It's like those,
and hang on, because this is important.
Sure.
This is another thing that people aren't able to do, and that's to receive.
Right.
So my mom taught me, God rest her soul, when someone gives you a gift, all you do is say thank you.
Right. Right.
You don't have to poo-poo it. Oh no, I don't. Oh no, no, it was nothing. Just say thank you. And that's what I told her. And I said, my mom taught me that when someone gives you a gift, you say thank you.
That's right.
And a lot of people have problems receiving. That is probably for a whole nother podcast.
Yep.
But
It's okay. That we can write that on our whiteboard. We have this whiteboard with all these subjects that we've thrown up there. So we're going to write on the whiteboard how to receive. But we didn't do this for our glory. We did this for God's glory. So I want to make that clear in case somebody's like, oh, our ego's getting big. No, we did this because I felt God wanted us to do that. So I just want to make that clear. I think we got a text message that we have to deal with. And I think we're going to wrap it up. Is there anything else that you want to add, Mary, before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I just hope that these help people, help them think, and help them figure out how they can contribute to the betterment of our world.
Yes.
And like we said in our first podcast, it starts with change in your heart.
Right, I agree. And so if you guys want to subscribe to our page, hit subscribe. Please leave comments. We'll answer as many as we can. We love you guys, and everybody. Oh, go on, Mary.
One more thing. If there's anything people want us to specifically cover, please put it in the comments on our YouTube page, and we'll add it on our whiteboard, and I'm sure that it will be covered.
Yes.
Also, if there's anything that anyone has pressing on them and they would like to share with us, we're trying to figure out how we could work Zoom into our podcast. Again, put comments, a way that we can reach you, and we'll get a hold of you.
Yeah. And so we're here to help. And good night, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And that was our second episode, and get ready for episode number 3. You guys enjoy yourselves and live a mad life.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.